Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the chair log. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, we're gonna make this a quick one because I want to exercise this morning. I don't really feel like practicing, so again, this is a chair log. Just gonna kind of update you on stuff, answer some comment questions, and maybe we'll all get something out of that. How does that sound? When I do practice later today, I don't think I'm gonna film it this time because I changed my nails again, because I was kind of missing the old nail shape that I had, but then I went back to the old nail shape and I was like, wow, this sucks. Like, all the inaccuracy that I feel like I had before just all came back. So now I have really short ramps going on. Because I don't know, ramps just feel good. I think they make me more accurate. And even going back to just having really short ramps, just trying to play again, it feels a lot better. So I need some time alone to practice and kind of get used to my new nails now. Main things I'm going to work on today, lobe de Trennen. I basically have it memorized at this point. BWV 997 Prelude. I'm going to keep banging that one out. And I'll do some memory work on those on the second channel. You'll see that come out at some point. Yeah, alright, let's go ahead and jump into some comment questions, shall we? Well, so here's a good one. This one came from the Al Di Meola video where I made this passing comment about how I spent the first 5 years of my guitar playing trying to learn how to shred, and the last 11 years or so trying to get shredding out of my playing. And this is a personal thing for me, because I feel like whenever I'm playing, like specifically when I'm improvising, like on a classical guitar or something, I only start trying to do like some legato shredding stuff when I'm trying to just make a statement like, hey, I can do this. And I made a comment like 4 fast notes in a row is like the most that you'll need. And really what I should have said by that is embellishing. You can do fast embellishments. You can have a melody like some melody like that. And those are just embellishments, that's fine. What I was meaning is more if your melody went like something like that. In some scenarios, of course, that can be cool too. It was more of a passing comment. It wasn't meant to be taken too seriously. But the Douglas Seth had a response to that. You said, HVL Etude 2 and 7, Rodrigo Concerto, and solo pieces, Bach unaccompanied string music, and many more classical guitar pieces all require far more than 4 fast notes in a row. If we're just looking at the Hector Villa-Lobos Etudes 2 and 7, and also 1 can be included in that, when you have a texture of all fast notes, like all 16th notes, I don't really consider that to be fast notes per se, because they're all the same speed, and if all the notes are fast, none of them are really. And especially in cases like recuerdos, yes, it is 30-second notes. It's really making a texture that's a melody of quarter notes, even though the notes being played are quick. When it comes to speed, it's all about the range of subdivisions. If you have a really slow melody and then all of a sudden you throw in 30-second notes, that's going to feel really fast. So those pieces don't count to me, because you can just play Villa-Lobos Etudes slowly, and now they're slow. And some of you also made comments like, oh, don't you shred that 3-note per string section at the end of your fugue, BWV 1001, where it goes like... Yeah, I do, and, you know, that's a really dramatic moment in the fugue, and I think if you've played an entire fugue's worth of music, a little shreddy bit at the end can be a dramatic and fun finish, and if it was filled with that, that'd be pretty annoying though, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. The most you ever get in that fugue is just 8th notes, dot, 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 and then there are sections with 16th notes where it goes, do da 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 da, and then sometimes there are 30-second note embellishments, da 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 da, like that kind of stuff. But you don't get like constant 30-second notes or anything like that. And even for that last 64th note run that you're talking about, the 3-note per string run, you stretch the tempo a lot by the time you get there. Like if you heard the MIDI file for BW 1001 without changing the tempo, it would sound like... So even when it's fast, we're still slowing way down. And that's all I have to say about that. Alright, last comment that I want to get into. This is from the Tommy Buzzy Emmanuel video. That video is doing pretty well, which is cool, and people are still commenting on it. And I probably made some passing remark about classical being the end-all be-all and everything else sucks. And here's a response to that from Labhurian Messian, friend of the channel. How's it going? You said, well, classical anything is not about entertainment. It's about look at me, in quotes, look at me. And so I was probably making some comment about Tommy Emmanuel being an entertainer and the music he played maybe didn't have that much substance to it, like classical gas or something, which I feel like Tommy will openly admit to. He said in interviews that everything he does is all just to entertain, and that's kind of the thing that goes first. So I think even if he made like a crappy musical decision and everybody loved it, he would still be like, alright, I guess I'm doing that, whatever. And you know, there's something to be said about that. It all depends on what your goals are. His goals are being an entertainer, and that's fine. Now, to say that classical is only about look at me and it's not about entertainment, I think is a little weird. There are different levels of entertainment. Let's compare it with TV shows, for example. What is the highest, the pinnacle of TV shows? I would say something like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is a show. It was 4 or 5 seasons or something like that. Every episode was thought through since the conception of the show. Like, the whole thing was already written out. It's this perfectly written story where there's no filler episodes and everything matters and everything foreshadows to the next thing, and it all leads up to this huge conclusion. And after you watch it, the show changes your life a little bit, and you have this feeling of, wow, that was a really compelling story, and it was told expertly, and it was probably one of the greatest stories to ever be told in human history. Boom, that's what it is. That is how I view a lot of classical music. Like, when I listen to a fugue, like a really great recording of a fugue, like of 997 or BWV 1001, it leaves me with this feeling of, this is the greatest story I've ever heard. And I think fugues are special in that in classical music. I think fugues are the pinnacle, especially when fugues are played solo, because I think there's something so special about one person producing this extremely complex thing. Like, in a symphony, I get it. There's tons of voices and it makes sense, and obviously that's going to be more complex and more, not that complexity is like the mark of a good story or anything, but you can do anything you want with a symphony. It's like having a DAW and you're just typing in MIDI. Like, you have infinite processing basically that you can do. But with the limitations of a solo instrument playing a fugue, there's just something so cool about it. So as far as soloing goes, I think that that's the pinnacle. Now, looking at other genres like folk and stuff, like maybe stuff that Tommy Emmanuel plays, just more like improv-y stuff, it can be really good. You can have shows like Dexter that are like pretty solid shows, right? Like, it's a Showtime show. It's one of 100 shows probably that got made, and that one just had a really compelling storyline, and the writing happened to be good at first, so it just took off, and it sort of held up in similar regard as Breaking Bad. But when you really compare them and just the nuance from one to the other, it's so clear that Dexter comes nowhere close to Breaking Bad. Dexter is a show, the first couple seasons maybe were written out, but once the storyline ends, then it just kind of keeps going, and they write more stuff, and they contradict stuff from the beginning, and it's just messy. It's not as good. It's still entertaining, and it's fun to watch, but it's not Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is Shakespeare, right? Like, it's classical music. It's the best. So my point is, you're saying that classical music is all about look at me, and I think really, at least to me, classical music is the least look at me kind of music there is. What is the look at me kind of music? It's what I was talking about. It's when you add in shredding to your improv, because you have this like ego moment where you want to show that you can do more. Classical is not that. You have a script. You have an amazing story, and now your job as the performer is to present and display this amazing story the best you can. It honestly does a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, as long as you're able to say the words and play the notes, a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the story itself because it's such a good story. But there's something special when you get a performer who can really tell the story well. If they're able to do that, it's like, this is the pinnacle. This is the greatest story ever told. The most you can do as a performer is just try to sell the story more. So I actually think classical is quite selfless, if you ask me. But I don't know, I could be completely off base here. So classical anything is snobbery. I play fiddle. I'm from Sheetland, Shetland. Greetings. We have our way of playing fiddle. When I came to America, I tried to play violin, but all violins are strung with metal string as opposed to gut strings on my fiddle. Did you come to America via time machine? You can order gut strings for your fiddle still. Like, they're not illegal in America, I don't think. In fact, America has a pretty bad stray cat problem in a lot of places, so you could probably pick up some cats and just make your own strings if you're not able to get them. Would you guys support me if I made a charity like that? We're gonna go around and we're gonna capture a bunch of cats and convert them into gut strings and donate them. This guy will get the first pack. So classical violin you disrespect too. Oh, definitely, dude. Definitely. Because metal, not gut strings? I'm not making fun of violin because of the string material. I'm making fun of it because you look like a nerd when you play it. Boom! And don't play on gut strings on your classical guitar. So Segovia, who I understand played gut strings, do you think he would diss you for something like classical guitar with nylon strings? He'd probably diss me for, like, so much, dude. He'd probably hate what I'm doing here. He'd think I'm making a mockery of the classical guitar, and I'm not a real guitarist at all. He spent his whole life trying to make guitar into piano, basically, just the snobby classical thing. Basically what I'm doing here is unraveling what he spent his life doing, so I'm sure he would hate me. Usually, this being my observation, people who are always disrespecting, nitpicking are usually a way crappier guitarist than they think. I agree with that, though I think I'm pretty realistic with my guitar abilities, and I think if you've been watching for a while, you would all agree with that. It takes 12 years to make a guitarist.
A rock and roll guitarist can be turned out in 12 hours flat. The classical player must devote at least 12 solid years to patient study. You pays your money and you takes your pick.
I think that a master's degree will serve me very well. I don't think I'm above the master's degree. Be sure to get your gut strings. You can still get those here. You can order them on Strings by Mail. Do they sell violin strings? Probably. I bet they do. And then just start playing guitar instead, because that's going to be a better option anyways. Gotta throw in some violin hate. As far as other instruments go, violin is a pretty good one. At least you're still touching the strings, and vibrato's pretty crazy on violin, gotta say. It's microtonal. That's kind of cool. That's sometimes more of a bug than a feature, though, depending on how good you are. Alright, I think we can wrap this one up here. I'm gonna exercise, so that'll be cool. And then I'm gonna get to practicing after that. Alright, well, you know, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. Of course, if you want some guitar lessons, I'm fully booked. You guys make fun of me in the comments about saying, like, oh, I'm fully booked, but I still want you to send me emails. I am only inviting you to send me an email. If lessons are something that you really want from me specifically, I want you to send me an email and let me know your situation. And just because I don't respond back, that doesn't mean that I don't read them. I see all the emails. There will come a time when I'm taking on new students. It'll probably be in the next few months or so. And of course, if you're really serious, feel free to send a follow-up email. Like, if you send me your story, you can send, like, a few weeks later, like, hey, just letting you know I'm still interested. That doesn't bother me at all. So I'm just inviting you to send an email if you're really interested in guitar lessons. I can't take on new students right now, but I do see them and I remember them. I know, it's a terrible system right now. Like, really, in a capitalist world, if there is demand, which there is, there should be a way for me to have some kind of supply to give you, but I don't have it. I'm sorry, there's only so much of me that can go around. But yeah, you can make fun of me for asking, I get that it's weird. But, you know, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Of course, head on down over to Rootin's Delight for some merch, if you want to just support me anyways, even though you don't get anything out of it, other than my appreciation. There's Patreon, there's member section, and I think that's pretty much it. Alright, well, I'll see you in the next one.